might now understand the scale.
Yeah, when you look at.
Oh, yeah, we can do all that too.
Basically,
But they-
it's taking out the pool.
You know, I bought some roads for the grandkids to put on my, little grandkids room. Doesn't get used, like my son's first place to put girls in. Grandkids out there to use that.
Okay, yeah, we'll probably speed it up a little bit.
You guys take a front row seat, so. It's gonna be tough. You'll see it up on TV. I only have three new people here, so. Saturday show, we might have a few more people come in, you never know, so. You guys are gonna get the executive experience here. Architect is standing right in front of you. And I'll just turn it over to our friend from RDG here, and it'll probably be a little quicker than we're at.
Yep.
Don't hesitate to ask questions if you have it, okay?
Alright, thanks, Mr. Mayor. And there's probably some new folks online maybe. I'm Brad Roper, architect with RDG.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Blaine Perro, architect and designer with RDG.
Been working with a number of local architects and Bob and Brent and Lyle and his group on many months from a design standpoint. So the goal is to run through exhibits that you see here in the room, talk a little bit about existing, new construction, and go from there. So what you see on the screen is the existing rec center, represents around 36,000 gross square feet. And the dotted line here as far as new construction from a scale standpoint. So existing 36,000 gross square feet. New construction total would be around 105,000 gross square feet on two levels. So this shows you the site plan for the rec center specifically. New entrances off of West Francis from the north. Circulation towards the main entry. To the east here, a drop-off entry plaza, around 330 parking spots specifically. So whether we have bigger buses or whatnot dropping folks off for swim meets or just general drop-off, you could be able to circulate through and out onto McDonald as well. So trying to pick up on connections over to the existing ball fields. And then we know the existing skate park will be relocated just to make room for some stormwater detention, just to make sure we're treating all that water falling on the site. So as we get into the floor plan here, again, about 85,000 gross square feet on the first level. Zooming into the main entrance from the east, you'll be able to get into this vestibule, a space protected from the elements, connected to this purple space, which we're calling a 24-hour fitness. So after hours access to fitness space, individual changing rooms associated with that fitness space as well. So coming into the main entry hallway, welcome desk, main monumental stair that would bring you up to the second level along with an elevator. Lobby space here just to the south for spectator seating. Outside the natatorium environment into the pool. All along within this corridor as well, kind of the darker orange, if you will. So if you traverse this corridor, public restrooms, and then a multi-purpose meeting room space meant for community use potentially within the rec center itself. We do have a teaching kitchen attached to that space, so demonstration from a cooking standpoint where someone is demonstrating that within that space and others are watching that. Can divide that room by two as well to control the groups of folks within that space. So if we go through this main east-west corridor, again, the welcome desk, pink spaces would be aquatic director, lifeguard, access from the dry side and also the wet side onto the pool deck specifically. Continuing down this corridor, we'd have these blue spaces that would represent men's, women's locker room. Again, a dry entrance from the corridor and a wet entrance off or on to the pool deck itself. Also more blue spaces here from a color standpoint. Universal change rooms. Each one of these 8 rooms would have a sink, a shower, and toilet as well, so a different option from a lockering standpoint. This corridor leading out onto the pool space. Wet classroom, it represented in this red space, meant for birthday parties, folks coming in off the pool deck that could potentially be wet. Again, option to divide that room in two for 2 separate events, if you will. Dry entrance, wet entrance onto the pool. Pool. Lap pool, 10 lanes by 10 lanes from a competition standpoint, diving as well. We look at the rec water, some shallower water here with some spray features, open area within rec for fitness classes, water aerobics, and then looking at the slides to where we'd have access up to the top tower, come down the slide, go exterior, and come back into the building into a run-out space, about 3'6" of water. We do have a spa to the southwest here as well. Sauna, that's an existing feature that we're trying to incorporate into new construction. And then we also have the associated pool mechanical space and aquatic storage off the deck. If we go more towards the north, currently where the existing pool is at, we would have a new gym space, 2-court gym, larger court running east-west, spectator seating as well. Great connection to the south to the entry corridor. We are preserving the existing meeting space, existing game space to the north. Not much work planned for those spaces, but still providing direct exterior access to those classes or meetings that would be held within. Darker gray areas represent renovation from an existing building standpoint, renovating restrooms and renovating existing locker room space, bringing those up to today's standards and to be usable for the gym itself. Existing gym, again, not much work planned within that space. 3 existing racquetball courts here. One we would transform into what we call a child watch, so folks that would be recreating could drop their kids off there for a couple hours and could come back and pick them up after. And then also one of the racquetball courts would be transformed into a maintenance storage facility attached to the existing. Darker purple, main concessions for the building and associated offices and storage as well. So green space more to the south represents 22,000 square feet of indoor turf space used for soccer, baseball, and many other things. So if we go back to the main welcome desk here and the stair that would inevitably bring you up to the second level. So dark purple represents cardio equipment, weight equipment, free weights, functional fitness, think CrossFit type of activities that would all be enclosed with a jogging track that would run through those areas around the gymnasium with views down into aquatics as well, about 9 laps to a mile, if you will. So views out, views down into the gym from that standpoint. Looking at this corridor running south, we would include spectator seating that would have entry and included within the natatorium space itself. So really experiencing those meets, public restrooms, general storage, and a multi-purpose studio, larger in size, 15 to 20 folks on either side, could be divided into two or could facilitate larger classes within. And at the end of this corridor here to the south, we are showing an outdoor fitness space that will become more evident as we go through exterior, interior images. These are just kind of straight on elevations of the building from all directions. You start to see the slide exterior views in and out of spaces, and just from a volume standpoint, turf in relationship to others. So Blaine will walk through some exterior images here, I think.
You want me to step up there?
Yeah, that's good. Go ahead. Page up, page down.
Yeah, so Brad did a great job of discussing kind of the plan and how you move through the facility, where things are located. Really want to jump into the exterior form, kind of the big picture design concept of how we got to where we are. We experienced and understood the existing facility and really thought that a shift towards providing visibility, transparency into the facility, some warmer, more welcoming materials, kind of that experience of approach. So as I'm coming to this facility with my family, with my kids, by myself, I'm seeing the front door, I'm seeing within, and kind of seeing all the activity, the 24-hour fitness, everything related. As we stand, kind of as we float above where the existing baseball fields kind of park is, looking to the northwest, you really start to see the overall composition. Some playful angles, a masonry base with a lighter kind of upper level that really allows us to provide a lot of glass and views in and out, maximizing daylight and transparency and bringing energy into the space. We're kind of looking now to the southwest. You start to see the existing rec center, kind of the bold salt and pepper brick that's there now. This kind of contrasts that and being kind of a more lighter, open and airy and welcoming facility. So we're looking down on the entry. You start to see the drop-off lane. And then this angled facade here really responds to that approach and how folks are coming in, and the light and how it plays with the glass. This kind of angled element is a gesture with the track, so that our track isn't just a regular rectangular shape. It starts to take a more playful form. So we wanted to express that on the exterior. So now as you look to the west, this is our approach drive. You see the drop-off lane in front, and the little glass transparent element at the base is our 24-hour fitness area. So Brad discussed the vestibule and how you move into that space from there. That's the space that you see. This is always constantly lit up, well branded, and kind of a feature element. And then above, it really just exposes all of that fitness. So you have a lot of volume above your cardio, above your track, and above your strength and conditioning. You can start to see a wavy line that suggests a light fixture that kind of runs through the facility that represents the track and how it's integrated and moves throughout. Our south facade, our south entry, if you will, kind of our secondary entry, as people park to the south of the facility, we wanted to create a gesture here where you're having a lot of visibility into the natatorium. We're looking at ways to control that solar glare and heat gain within that space, looking at some mesh products and other strategies. You start to see some wood soffit, some funky things going on with the structure, but how the wood soffit really warms up that entry and that kind of approach for folks. Zoomed out a little bit to the west here, you see kind of the edge of the turf space. It's a translucent panel system, so you can gain and distribute natural light into that turf space that kind of represents daylight, as if you're outside playing soccer, if you're on turf playing soccer, on this eastern face of that facility that you can start to pick up on there. From the middle school, as we approach from the north, a walkway that kind of runs parallel with the track, And then also another entry point for those folks that kind of currently go into that Group X space. This is probably a controlled access point so that they can still have that connectivity. But you're seeing activity, you're seeing people jogging, walking above as you're approaching. As we work our way back towards the entry, there's kind of that big gesture of the fitness space as it protrudes and covers the entry. It's a, it's a east-facing, protected entry away from the northwest. So from a weather standpoint, it'll work really well. And then we're going to jump to the interior of the space. A lot of gyms are starting to become more open. There's an acoustic consideration. There's a balls bouncing out of the space consideration. So we're addressing the balls with kind of a dasher system. So there'll be a transparent panelized system above the benches. And then we're thinking about different ways to control the acoustics in this space and how the deck will absorb some. We're thinking about things above that partition that can start to absorb some of that sound. But these facilities have a lot more energy and activity if there is good ambient sound between spaces versus an echo chamber of a gym that you really don't want to stay in. It's easier to secure this space with kids playing pickup basketball if there's a lot of visibility. So a lot of positives and a few considerations as we move forward. In the entry, you kind of wayfinding is a big deal here. You can kind of pick up right away on the vertical circulation, the communicating stair that takes you up to the fitness, the elevator that kind of creates this element that connects both floors. And you have the ability to see the natatorium to the left and the gym to the right. Likewise, beyond, you'll see a glimpse of the turf space, so you kind of know right away where you're going. So we've moved now into the natatorium and are standing above the leisure pool. The slides that go outside and come back in will empty into this pool. And then you see some more shallow water spaces to the left. Beyond is our lap swimming area. So you see seating up above, all within the environment, all visible to the lap lanes. And then really like how we have kind of this free circulation zone at deck level. So parents at swim lessons, other people wanting to catch a glimpse of an event happening, can kind of stop, sit, hang out, and have that direct visibility at deck level into that space. You start to see the track above and how it's visibly connected as well. As we move over to this side of the space, some of that is a little more clear. You can see the seating up above. You see how it's within the environment. And then our vantage point from that area. So a big gesture to provide transparency into this pool as well. You start to see a little bit of the mesh playing with the light and the visibility on that south facade. Now we're up on the track above the gym. The playfulness of the wavy light that kind of provides that movement and that gesture as folks are jogging and walking. And then our turf space and that great daylight that comes in with that translucent system to the east and how you're still connected to the rest of the facility.
So we also want to run through the Cody Pool project just quickly. This shows the site overall site plan. We're all probably familiar with the existing 50-meter pool and the somewhat historic bathhouse. As we zoom out, you see design ideas for a renovated parking lot as it relates to the aquatics facility, overall park, some other things we're doing over at the tennis courts as well. Also, some additional parking as it relates to being able to access the splash pad after hours from the park side, and a few other things as we get into the plans here for the buildings. But zooming in on the aquatics features, zero entry here, some play features as it relates to the water in that location, entry into the fitness channel or lazy river, so folks can either walk with that current or against it. Stairs that would provide a wide access into that channel. A bridge that would bring us over the channel and be able to use this center island space as well. Some additional aquatics areas for lounging within the island itself. a Baja shelf is what we call it, lounge chairs, maybe in 6 inches of water for folks to lounge and watch folks go around the lazy river specifically. We are showing 2 water slides exterior within this facility, stairs up to the start, a path like this down to a run out, and a straight speed slide as well. The pink slide here, more of a bowl feature, shown as potentially a future addition. So as we move forward and look at the plans for the current existing bathhouse, knowing that we're bringing everybody through this building, we want to have a great front entrance, a front door, lobby, front desk, spaces for offices specifically. All of the concessions for the existing pool and the new facility will be housed within this building, and then we would renovate both sides from a men's and women's locker room space. Taking a quick look at the new bathhouse related to the new aquatics features, again, restrooms, showers, unisex restroom options as well, as far as a toilet, sink, shower within those spaces. A few restroom opportunities as it relates to access out to the park after hours, and then a space for lifeguards with good visibility out to those aquatics features specifically. So that's kind of our presentation of a lot of exhibits that you see in the room here. We could go through questions and just go from there. It can be more conversational as it relates to the number of folks in the room.
You want to play the video for me?
We do have a video, as Blaine mentioned. Just walks you through some of the spaces. All right. So we could walk through any questions you all might have or comments, opportunities for all those to be heard.
Well, that's pretty much you three.
Yes, that's right. We really appreciate you guys being here.
Yeah, so I like that you've used a lot of glass to kind of make the space more open and welcoming. But what kind of considerations have you made for how that's going to impact, like, cooling and heating the building?
Yeah, it's always a balance of that,
Yeah.
right? As far as this is a place of activity, trying to create those fitness billboards for people walking by, seeing that activity, drawing them into the building, and thinking about how that relates to mechanical systems, and so trying to balance that, trying to be mindful of a larger facility like this, 3 times the size of the existing facility, is going to be more from an operational standpoint. So
Yeah, I can I can jump into. No, you don't see me ready to talk behind you, but I'm ready to talk. If you start to look at some of the exterior images, a couple things that are happening is a lot of the glazing that's open and transparent is focused to the north, meaning we're not going to get very minimal, if any, heat gain from those expanses of the glass. Another thing that we're doing is along the east facade is showing some fins, whether those are perforated metal, aluminum, whatever they end up being. You really get a lot of transparency straight through the glass. And then as the sun moves through the sky on those facades, they really provide a significant reduction in the heat gain into the space. So it handles a lot of that on the exterior of the glass.
So thinking of fin that would
Yep.
stick out proud of the building.
As well as the kind of the system itself is designed to do that within the glass panels.
And some overhangs as well
Mhm.
to start to shade some of this higher glass here. And we'll have to continue to think about this overall treatment and quantity of glass too, and making sure that's per energy code and all those good things.
I mean, something that system provides that we want to avoid is a really tinted glass system that reduces that, but then it also looks harsh and unwelcoming because you can't really see what's going on during the day and at other times. So that's kind of why that strategy is in place.
Do you think keeping the building warm will be an issue in colder months, or?
I do not. I think Marty and our mechanical team has a great strategy in place for
Okay.
handling that glass, getting warm air focused on that glass and minimizing that.
Are there any other offsetting things like automatic lighting in some of the rooms so that you don't have to worry about someone leaving the light switch on,
Yeah.
things like that to lower your energy costs?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those things from a occupancy sensor standpoint, those are really driven by the code and really required for all those spaces. So somebody enters that space and the lights go on, but when they leave, they're only on for another 5-10 minutes. So it's more automated from that standpoint as opposed to somebody walking around at the end of the night making sure that all the lights are off. You know, same with locking spaces. We could tie that to the building automation system, and it's just less things that you have to think about towards the end of the operating hours that would require somebody or staff. You'd have to staff somebody to do that.
And what's the project timeline?
So yeah, so over the next 3 or 4 months, we'll enter into what we call construction document phase. So the design you see here will continue to document and detail that. So when it comes time to bid, we would hand those drawings to a contractor. They would put a price to it, and they'd be able to read that set of drawings and construct the
Electrical,
building.
plumbing, all of that stuff.
Sure, yeah, yep. So, and we're estimating, you know, this will be an 18 to 22 month project from a construction standpoint. And we would obviously work with the awarded contractor on that duration as far as meeting other city expectations from a schedule standpoint. And working with the city as well as far as what existing spaces are to remain open during the new construction on the new pool side, you know, and then decommissioning the pool and building that new gym. So working around the access to all that water, if you will. You know, and trying to be mindful from an overall site plan standpoint, memorial trees, those types of things, making sure that we're mindful of where those are at and if they can be relocated or not, whether it's at the rec center or Cody Pool specifically.
You mentioned that the skate park is getting relocated.
Yeah. So that currently lives down to the south here. to where it is being relocated to be determined, I think, Bob. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Considering I almost got ran over by a guy on a skateboard coming here, maybe just right down Vine Street would be fine.
I think we're open to suggestions on a location, it sounds like.
I'm not much of a skater myself, but I'm
But-
sure some people in the community.
Yeah,
would
it's
say
still,
so.
still trying to provide that amenity elsewhere within the park or within the city.
We have a couple ideas on where to put it, we're just kind of flushing it out.
Yeah.
I don't know, except for maybe these two gentlemen, if anybody in here really knows that much about what skaters really do. So we're trying to get
Sure.
some experts involved, so that
Well, if
Yep.
you're out at 3 in the morning, they need Fourth Street
we
apparently.
need Fourth Street and.
Without lights, and with dark colored clothing and everything else.
Jeez. Yeah, knowing that we have 80 or so acres to the east that we're trying to utilize too.
So actually, the Cody Park stuff is happening before this, or is it coinciding?
They're kind of right now running on the same track from at least from a design standpoint.
Okay.
Obviously, being a smaller project, it will take less time to complete those, again, construction documents. So we'll balance what happens at Cody Pool with what's going on at the rec center, as far as access to water and those types of things.
So that time is minimized.
Yeah, or downtime, if you will. So less folks within the community have to go elsewhere for those activities. Would be the goal.
That's been one of the requirements of this project.
Yeah.
You can't leave the community without a big pool for more, I mean, it could end up being a couple weeks, we don't have a functioning big pool, but
Yep.
we have to do it about that time.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be outside of, high school swim team season.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question.
So, are there any like major issues that the current rec center staff have like raised with the current design that will be addressed with the new design? Like anything wrong that they want to be fixed that could only be fixed by building a new building?
So issues within the existing rec center that
Yeah.
they want to make sure that this facility that we don't duplicate that, right? I think wayfinding is one of them within the existing rec center. You know, looking at this view of the main lobby, you start to see, you know, aquatics to the south here, the gym to the north, fitness up on the second level, you know, turf all the way in the distance here. So you kind of have that those visual cues on where you're going. Overall security would obviously be improved with new systems that, again, would be more automated and less thought into that once we get them up and running. Obviously, more offerings in a facility like this, which comes along with more staff. So thinking about how best to work with Bob and his crew on how to handle that. You know, as far as if we can have a person at this front desk, they have visibility into many other spaces, so we wouldn't necessarily have to staff those in addition. Things like that, I think. Any others, Bob, that you maybe want to raise?
I think that's good as far as from our point of view. The other thing for programming is just the added space. That's
Right.
what the public's been asking for a long time, is another gym, so we can program something with the one we have.
Well, in the larger pool space, because I know I ran into, when it's high school season, you can't go there and exercise.
Yeah, so the
Right.
pool space, the gym space, and the walking track are probably the three that throughout the years have been the top three requested from the public.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And just knowing our climate around here, indoor turf is obviously always popular.
The walking track is pretty cool.
Right. And just being able to elevate people off of a gym surface so they don't have to worry about what's going on down here, and can be up there by themselves, really.
Is the parking lot at Cody Pool gonna get paved?
Yeah, I think currently that's the plan. As far as some of the specifics, we know, that parking lot's used for,
Flip-flop feet and then step in the mud.
oh, yeah, for sure. And we know that parking lot's used for a number of different things, as Brent has mentioned, so making sure it's easily maintained from snow removal, those types of things. Definitely paved. It's currently gravel, right?
And pothole.
Potholed, okay.
I mean, they do their best, but.
Yeah, no, it's, again, heavily used, so. All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what gets reported.
Say that again? Oh, yeah.
Is that what it's used for?
Lyle's out there doing donuts, is what he's saying. That's right.
That's what I thought was coming.
Oh. Again, we appreciate you all being here. It's obviously exciting for us from a design team standpoint, but super exciting from a community standpoint. Most definitely, as it relates to Cody Pool, a destination for not only folks within North Platte but also the surrounding areas.
I do like the addition of having some after-hours,
That's cool.
24 stuff available.
At the rec center,
Yes.
yeah.
Even at Cody Pool, to be able to go into
Sure.
a splash pad. or
Splash
something.
pad that doesn't necessarily need lifeguards per se. Hopefully, younger folks would be supervised, but we could control that too. But even after hours situation, fitness at the rec, comparing that to other local, Anytime Fitness, Planet Fitness type spaces.
Well, and coming from the library, I mean, we have a multi-purpose room.
Mhm.
Our biggest complaint is we're not open past 6. A lot of meeting spaces, they want to have meetings in the evenings. but
Yeah.
We don't have that ability.
Right?
They said, can we just lock up for you? Can we just exit the meeting room out that other door? And it's
Yeah.
like, no, it's not secured that way.
Yeah, liability there, right?
So, being able to do that will be a nice addition to the community as well. And having a
Yeah,
prep
the-
kitchen in there or whatever is gonna be great too, because that's also something we've been asked for and can't provide at the library. So, it's a good thing.
Those always seem top of mind as far as community spaces, just for anybody to come in and rent or use or facilitate a number of different things.
Well, for us, I mean, we do a lot of teens and tweens programming,
Mhm.
and we purchase hot plates and use them in the meeting room as best to our ability to
Yeah.
teach them how to cook, but we're teaching life skills, because they don't get that very much at home anymore, or through the schools, or,
Yeah,
so, I mean, we're doing things that are more life skill based. How to cook a grilled cheese should not be something a 15-year-old doesn't know how to do.
right. Some partnership opportunities there, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. Great.
All right, well, thanks, everybody.
Appreciate you being here again.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You guys, wonderful
Yeah,
job.
definitely. It can be more
Beautiful.
conversational. Any other questions, we'll be here.
Do you have that video available for the public?
Yeah, I think the plan is to send a Dropbox of all this information to Brent and the mayor and Bob and Lyle and others so they can distribute it appropriately as far as Facebook page or other things where the
We have-
public can access
We have
it.
nice video displays in our building.
Yeah.
We could run a 2-minute video on, or
Right?
something every so often, and just keep it fresh in the community for everybody that walks into the
Yeah.
library at least.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna put kind of a fact sheet together as far as for the rec center, for Cody Pool. This is how
We'd be
many,
happy to
this is how many
distribute.
laps per mile, this is how big this space is, those types of things where
We'd be happy to help distribute.
if you're out and about and talking to somebody about it, you're more informed maybe.
Because as one of the reasons I plugged it at our staff meeting this morning was because, and today, this afternoon, is because my desk overhears a lot that happens at the front desk, and I'm hearing conversations. It's starting to chatter in the community.
Yeah,
And I know from an information standpoint, a lot of people come to the library for information, go figure.
yeah,
I'd like to be able to provide that for them,
perfect.
which is also why I thought it would be a good deal for my staff to come to these meetings, to get up to speed on what the real story is, instead
Yeah.
of what they hear from everyone else that walks through our door.
It's always good to control the narrative, right?
Yeah, it is. So,
All
thank
right.
you very much.
You bet, thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Sounds like we could keep this all set up.
Sure, we'll be here. Absolutely.
I do want to ask you guys a couple of questions, though. Can you run back to the overall?
Page up. First floor? Okay,
So this is the old,
right here, yep.
I mean, I know we don't really know how much money we have until we get the bid. But I want to make sure there's some kind of a plan, because if we leave this looking like 1976,
Yeah, it's,
I'm gonna hear,
it's these spaces, it's this corridor, it's even this corridor here, right? So somehow having an ad alternate to where that could be bid separately, this work could be bid separately, and depending how all this other comes in, we could do that, I think. And even, you know, thinking about what's in here.
I like this, look at the floor.
Yes, these would have the cake kind of thing.
And I think we're gonna have some opportunities. These are all flowing back there, so it could be
Yep.
that some of that money could be redirected to this.
But
We'll have to see how it goes, but
Totally a good idea.
especially on the track, like
could you fit a couple of pickleball courts in there?
I wonder, we could look at that. Obviously, it's currently used as a meeting space for everything, because that's the only space, right? Yeah,
And it's if pickleball courts could fit in there, and then we could make the nets, so we could
Or-
remove them relatively, or even the whole space.
Yeah.
Super relatively easily,
well,
then,
yeah,
even if it's got a different form,
yeah,
it could still be used for random exercises, and then make, pickleballs.
Absolutely.
5 or whatever, and,
I love that.
so that's a possibility.
And it's how you feel walking down this corridor, and how this transition starts to feel. It's more of a seamless as opposed to new, back in the old space, right?
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
and I know Bob's mentioned that so many times.
Yeah, we've got, even if we, definitely have to do something here in the hallways, and then if we